So I really honestly got into a couple of weeks of an existential crisis of just thinking about what is even home? Where do I consider my home to be? Am I trying to build a life here? Am I trying to go back home? What would going back home means? If I went back home, does it still feel like home? What does that even mean? Then it started to hit me, wait, do they think I don't belong here? Also, my Kenyan accent becomes so much stronger because I guess I just feel like these are my people. I feel at home and all of that stuff. So a couple of weeks ago, I went running. I actually did a 10K for the first time. Go me. But I was running out in the cold and I was basically just being hit with a ton of cold air. And I was also talking up at the same time because I just can't keep my mouth shut. And essentially I caught, whether it's the cold or like basically whatever, my throat was, and I caught some laryngitis. So my voice was basically gone for the past like 2-ish weeks. It is coming back, but I think it still feels like not 100% there or not 100% me. But that's besides the point. The point is, I know you can hear me. Thank you for tuning in. I am really excited about this episode. I know I say that about every episode, but this episode feels especially near and dear to my heart. And again, I know I say that about every episode, but this time for real, and every other time. On this episode, I want to explore my conceptions of home and what home means to me as somebody who lives in the diaspora, especially as an African or any person who is a member of the diaspora from their home country. The idea of home is very fleeting and it's very transient, and it's difficult to even really conceptualize and say, this is what home exactly means. And that is exactly what I want to explore in this episode. A few weeks back, I was at an event, having a good time, laughing, chatting, talking, whatever. And somebody told me, when are you gonna go home? And this is a very innocent question, call it. It's a very just like when are you dipping? What time are you going home? And me being the kind of person whose brain processes things at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, 1,000,000,000 thoughts went through my head at the exact same time. So my immediate thought was like, oh, I'm gonna dip at XYZ time. But also it came to me like, okay, when am I going back home? And do you mean to travel? Do you mean to relocate, to go back home and settle back home? And what does that even mean? Is that my home anymore? And I'm basically this person at the party who is like, okay, girl, is never been.
That's serious.
So I really honestly got into a couple of weeks of an existential crisis of just thinking about what is even home? Where do I consider my home to be? Am I trying to build a life here? Am I trying to go back home? What would going back home mean? If I went back home, does it still feel like home? And listen, I was spiraling. Clearly, I have a very small threshold for spiraling because this had me in like a quarter life crisis. Growing up, and I grew up in Kenya, for those who don't know, but if you don't know, now you know. Let's just call. Do you know what? I should have, I have a Kenyan flag. I should have brought it out for the episode just to stay more patriotic. But I did wear some Kenyan jewelry, or some jewelry that I purchased in Kenya and that is commonly worn in Kenya. So I have these cowrie shells, I have my Africa earrings, and they're made of wood. Unique. That's what you are, because everybody got on bronze or gold or whatever, and who cares? Mine's wood. That sounded.
I said, hold up, wait a minute.
Anyways.
Furahia undugu na uko wetu.
Ajagi Sumo and a member.
Colors, the wonder of colors in everything I touch, in everything that reminds me of a way
In every lifetime, if I had a choice, I would choose to be Kenyan. Growing up, I was a very patriotic girl. Like, I was like, Daima mimi Kenya. Do you guys remember that Eric Wainaina song where it was like, Naishi? I grew up just being a very patriotic girl. I was like, love this country down.
I love Pakistan. I will sacrifice my life for Pakistan. I love Pakistan.
I loved the history. I loved all the icons. Like Wangari Maathai was my icon, and I remember that day in September when she transitioned and passed on.
Kenyan environmentalist and the 2004 Nobel Peace Prize winner Wangari Maathai died while undergoing treatment at the Nairobi hospital aged 71.
I was devastated. I was literally in primary school. I was in class 6 or 7 or 8. Anyways, I was around that time. And I remember being so devastated and being like, oh my God, we're literally losing icons. I always loved Kenyan culture, Kenyan movies, Kenyan, I played all the games, I did all the things, Kati, Police and Roba, that's not necessarily Kenyan, Briki Cho, guys, do you remember? And even today, like I'm always telling my friends here and anywhere really, like we need to have a throwback Kenyan party where we play like the old school Kenyan music. I remember rushing back home from school and putting the beat and listening to the Nina Morale, I just found it very enjoyable to be Kenyan. And at the same time, I grew up knowing that I wanted to leave the country at some point and go. I specifically wanted to go to the US. I was lucky enough to get into a pre-university program that facilitated my applications, and I was able to apply and go to school abroad for college. I remember other people who we were in the program with, and they were very much like, oh, I never thought about this. This is my honor. This is such a miracle to me. And as much as I was very thankful and very like, this is such a miracle as well, to me, it was kind of a fulfillment of destiny. Like I just knew I was gonna leave the country at some point, no matter what. I was ready to go to Germany. I was ready to go to Australia. Listen, I was emailing university deans being like, Guten Morgen, like, I'm down. Like, just tell me what I have to do.
Du hast 2 Stunden, das in deinen Kopf zu bekommen.
Anyways, I went to the US. Then it hits you. Wait, this is not what I thought it was gonna be. I expected the life I saw in the movies, like, you're in college, you have a best friend is from Brazil, and your roommate is from Costa Rica, and your classmate is from Korea, and like your friend group it's like the UN, it has everybody from everywhere. And I found it very difficult. And at first I couldn't even articulate why it was so difficult. I just felt strange and different. I just felt like I don't even feel like I'm part of the conversation. It just feels like things are going over my head. And actually, well, yeah, I just remembered I did experience like a microaggression. Actually, it's a macro aggression if I'm to think about it very critically with a critical eye. Where somebody told me, "Oh, I know you just got in because you're black."
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
And then it started to hit me, wait, do they think I don't belong here? And yeah, anyways, point being, I didn't feel very at home initially when I was starting my college experience and my life and everything. And I was constantly gravitating towards friends from a similar background. So either like they're also Kenyan, or they're also African, or they're also internationals who also found it very difficult to adjust to the American culture. People who went through that, like a similar experience anyway, of going abroad and having to build your life and yourself and your character and personality and basically your sense of self in this new place, which, yes, so many opportunities, probably more opportunities than are there back home, but also just the constant navigation of trying to figure out how you fit in and how it fits in. I remember another thing that I really struggled with navigating my first few years was that a lot of my friends would code switch. So when they were speaking to Kenyans or Africans, the accent came on very, very strong. Like, hey, you guy, see to the church, see we go to church. But then when we are in the presence of a mixed group where like there's Americans, then the accent comes out stronger and it's like, yeah, like they're code switching, right? They're trying to talk in an American accent. I remember even like going to a store or I'm going to a coffee shop and I'm ordering something and the person is like, what are you talking about?
Okay, can I just have this one? Sorry, I can't see what you're pointing at.
Water.
Huh?
Water.
What? Is that a drink? I don't think I've ever heard of that. It's the first thing on the menu. I'm sorry, are you speaking English? Can one of your teammates translate? I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, he just wants the bottled water. Oh, water!
Oh, water. I had to say water, like. And I felt that I was betraying myself. I don't think that this is necessarily true. And I don't think that anybody who code switches is betraying themselves. But I felt that a lot of people had to adjust their manner of speaking as a survival mechanism, because a lot of the time it's like people are pretending or maybe not even pretending that they can't understand what you're saying. Buddy, if you give it a couple of seconds, you can figure out like what the person is trying to say. Just give it a few seconds. If this was a white British person, you would try and figure it out. But hey, I guess we'll never know. So I knew a lot of people who would code switch and try to speak more American and enunciate the words in a more Americanized way to be understood better or to navigate conversations easier. Every time I go back home, it feels like I am a foreigner. Not because I actually am, because I speak the language. I speak Kiswahili and some Sheng. But it's like even when I go to a Maasai market or I go Mtumba shopping or something, they say they can, and people have told me like the market vendors, they're like, we madam, tunajua we si wa huku. And I'm like, wait, how?
Fuck you know this. How? Hold on, bro. How?
And so it pains me. Yes, having to pay a bit more is painful, but it's also fine and fair. If it's not a lot of money for your currency where you reside, honestly, like, girl, it's $2. Relax. But at the same time, I feel pained. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not from here? I don't know. It makes me feel like I am Kenyan, but now in like I'm just a summer bunny or something. You don't truly you're not here. You're not from here. You don't live here. You don't experience the things we experience here. Okay, I'm not that far removed because I keep in touch with my friends from back home pretty regularly, and I try to keep up with the new terminology and everything. I have TikTok. On TikTok, it's mostly tea, like drama. But at the same time, yeah, that's where you learn the lingo. I've noticed that when I'm around other Africans, even if they're not Kenyans, sometimes I forget and I start saying Kiswahili words, especially when I'm so used to the person. A Swahili word will come out here and there. And also my Kenyan accent becomes so much stronger because I guess I just feel like these are my people. I feel at home and all of that stuff. I keep up with Kenyan news through Twitter. Who even watches news anymore? Certainly not me. I get a lot of my news from Twitter. It's actually, do you know what? Like, I think social media is looked down upon as so unserious. It truly is, at least for me and a lot of people that I interact with, the way that we keep up even with the serious stuff these days. If I never was on Twitter, I wouldn't know all the things that are going on back home, which is a second reason that inspired this video, but I'll get to that. So I keep up with things on Twitter. I have an idea of what's going on, which celebrity is doing what, and what our butcher-in-chief or so-called president is doing. I remember in 2024 June, when the protests broke out to protest the tax bill, the finance bill, and a lot of my friends on the ground were going for the protests.
This is Kenya. We are one.
So they were texting us updates like, this is going on, hey, want me to tear gas and da 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 da. And I remember exactly where I was that period, that week of 25th June. I was in so much distress. I had to be working, and I'm just thinking about my friends back home who are being tear gassed, I'm thinking they could be the next Denzel Omondi or Rex Masai or all those people who are brutally murdered by the regime for exercising their civil rights and duty as a Kenyan to protest, right, and to fight for their freedoms. And I remember feeling so useless. Like, I was posting and reposting and retweeting and tweeting and doing all that stuff, but it feels so useless, and I just felt like the world was crumbling. Then I remember a few friends and I organized a protest to march that in New York City outside of the UN headquarters, and we were doing all the Ruto must go, we had the Kenyan flags and everything, and then we went home after that. In fact, I remember we went for brunch. I'm the kind of person who believes that the point of protest is to be performative, because the performance creates awareness and spreads information and it draws attention, and people are curious, wait, what's going on there? What's that about? And so even as I'm saying this, I know that it's not necessarily meaningless, but it just felt very performative. After we've marched outside of the UN headquarters, after we've done all that, and then what? Like, we were truly in no serious danger at the end of the day. I was sending money, obviously, the pay bill, for people who are in hospitals and all that stuff, because you do what you can and you support in the ways that you can. And at the same time, it just felt, I am so shielded. I am a Kenyan-ish, like in the struggle, so to speak. It is so disheartening to think that if I ever get to a point where I want to move back to Kenya and settle there, the Kenya that I will move back to is not a Kenya that I ever knew. For the 2-3 weeks that I go back home, I am having a very romanticized experience where I'm going to very nice places, I'm going on holiday, or even if I'm spending time with family, it's for a brief moment. I just feel myself drifting from the average Kenyan experience. More and more I spend time here, it's becoming very westernized. As I said, I'm consuming a lot of news about Kenya from Twitter, and honestly, Kasongo is running this country to the ground. He is digging to the 7th layer of hell to unlock a new basement where he can dump the ruins of our country. This is a country that is currently being rocked by a scandal where the warmongers and the genocidaires of Sudan, the Hemedtis and all his people, all his cronies, have been issued Kenyan passports. Why are genocidaires and warmongers of an active war crime, active genocide in Sudan being issued Kenyan passports, given that they are not Kenyan citizens, they haven't spent time in Kenya? Our country is basically turning into a home for rehabilitating warmongers and genocidaires and war criminals. The Israelis are starting to build kibbutz settlements in Solai, which is a land where there was a dam that collapsed 2018, I believe, and left so many people dead.
On the night of May 9th, 2018, 72 million liters of water gushed out of a private dam in Nakuru, tearing through 2 villages that rested downstream. The Solai Dam tragedy, as we now know it, claimed a total of 48 lives and left at least 5,000 people homeless.
People are being pushed out of their country, of their land, right, to create these settlements. What's going on? Especially on a piece of land that was public land and had this type of tragedy happen. And especially by settlers from a nation that has a horrid pattern, a genocidal nation who are currently exterminating the people of Palestine. The unemployment rate in Kenya is about 5% as of 2024. And people keep, asking, where are the jobs? What's going on? Instead of creating jobs in Kenya, instead of creating jobs within the borders of our country, and this is the whole thing of the fallacy of a state, of a nation state, but that is an entirely different video. Instead of doing that, the government, and especially the Ministry of Labor, is basically a slave trader offering Kenyans jobs abroad. What is the logic in trying to sell your people and trying to push your people out of the country and pushing them to apply towards jobs abroad? And a lot of these jobs are highly precarious. There are a lot of domestic workers who go to countries in the Middle East where we know there is a history of mistreatment, abuse, dehumanization, sometimes death. Kenyan men were tricked. They were told that they're going to Russia and being offered jobs abroad, and they were tricked to being soldiers on the war front in Russia's war against Ukraine. They did not sign up for that. They were trying to make a better life for themselves, and they were trying to improve their circumstances. Now they're fighting some war that they don't even understand, that they don't even know anything about. This president, this greedy, this butcher will sell us to anybody and everybody for cheap. And what's going to be left of Kenya? Nothing. Ruins, remains. And what does that mean for me in terms of home? What does that mean? Like every single morning I wake up and, I don't wake up and go to Twitter immediately, but at the point where I'll get to Twitter, And it's bad news after bad news after bad news after bad news. There's nothing positive coming out of Kenya. And I get to sit here very privileged in the West, relatively safe or shielded from the direct effects of all these things that are happening on the ground. And at the same time, selfishly, I just feel like the country that I know will not exist in 10 years, in 15 years, in 5 years even. Thank you for watching or listening. Thank you for following along with me on this episode. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your experiences. I would love to hear your perspective. This is just my perspective. It's a very narrow perspective just based on my own experiences. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.